Now, it's an interesting topic. There's a lot of noise in the marketplace about what's going on with marketing at the moment. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about, what's going on out there and how to deal with it, how to cope with it within your business. So let's get started. So very first thing, just some average numbers for you. We've been in the marketplace for some time now, and one of the things that I found, which was very interesting, is some research on the average number of marketing messages that a person receives. And what we know is that in 1992, the average person was receiving about 2,000 marketing messages a day. It sounds like a lot, but if you think about the number of billboards, the number of adverts in magazines and newspapers, basically any advertising message that's put in front of them, we recognize that there was 2,000 in 92. In 1993, that jumped up to 3,000 messages per day. Now, this all happened very early in the piece, so this is before the internet and social media really became strong. So people were used to receiving these sorts of messages through email, through SMS, through advertising, and they were just getting more and more. What's jumped in the last 10 years is since 1992 to 2012, people have gone from getting 2,000 marketing messages a day to 30,000 marketing messages a day. Now, just think about what that means if you're a marketer and you used to do things like cold calling or you used to do things like advertising. Just by the sheer number of messages that are being pumped out every day, your value is diminished by, nearly 15 times. So we have to now do 15 times as much marketing to get the same result we would have 10 years ago. Now, this sort of thing is a very interesting statistic because what it tells us is the market is shifting. One of the big shifts in the market is this thing. It's called the World Wide Web. For those who are not sure about it, but how has it affected how people are marketing their business? What it's done is it's made the world a much smaller place. People now are able to get online and they're able to pick up information usually within 3 to 5 seconds. Everyone carries a mobile device. There's no such thing as an unanswered question anymore. As soon as you're not sure, you just Google it. And so the side effect of that is that people are getting, this is where even more marketing messages are coming from. So what we talk about when we talk about it, how to attract more leads and more customers is that, going out there and doing the same thing that we used to do, the definition of insanity is do the same thing, expect a different result. But with this structural change, which is what the internet has done, it means that the communication methods that used to work are not effective anymore. And we need to start getting a bit smarter as far as how we market our business, smarter about how we communicate with our clients, and smarter about how we use this technology to our advantage. So the other thing the internet's done is created what's called globalization. And what globalization means is that people are out there able to access resources from other countries that they never could access before. There's websites like Odesk or Elance where people can now go and get small jobs done for very low cost. But the other thing that it's done is we can buy anything from anywhere in the world and have it delivered to us, within 3 or 4 days, which is almost instant. So there's a whole shift in the way that people are buying. There's a whole shift in the way that people are marketing. And we really need to take advantage of this infrastructure of the internet and how it's going to affect our marketing in our business. So the big question is how? How do we attract clients, or how do we attract more high caliber leads into our business rather than having to go out and chase them? Well, look, the main thing is that in the old days, we used to go out and whack bushes. And how we'd get more business is we'd knock on doors, or we'd cold call, or we'd have a really high caliber salesperson that would go out and find business for us. But that's really changed. And instead of whacking bushes, what we need to start thinking about is lighting candles. Now, what I mean by lighting candles is creating a pathway that leads to your business or to your door. And this is done by using the internet and all the other media that's available to us to create lots of interesting information that shows people a way of adding, like it's a way that you add value to your clients before you start doing business. Because what's changed is really this. In the old world, marketing was sort of premised on the old 4 Ps. Now, anyone who did a marketing degree or a marketing course would know that there were the 4 Ps that were taught to us about marketing. And they were that you had to have the right product, and you had to have the right price, and you had to be in the right place, and you had to have the right promotion. And this was sort of something that came through in our heads, and we were taught that this is the way that you market your product. But what's shifted in the world is that new marketing doesn't rely on the 4 Ps anymore. It now relies on what's called the 4 Cs. And if we look at what the 4 Cs are, first one is content. So you've heard it already. If you've got anything to do with internet marketing, you know that you've heard the words content is king. The content is really about providing that information because, as I said before, people are now using Google and using their mobile devices to access information about anything from anywhere at any time. So the only way that you're going to be seen is not by sending people emails and inundating them with spam. It's going to be by having valuable content. So when they search for something or information, it's there and it's available. And it just happens to be from you. So content is really important. The second thing of the four C's is context. What's context all about? Well, the context is just about making sure you've got the right information at the right time. See, one of the big no-nos in web marketing is to spend a lot of money on Google AdWords, but not have a website that captures leads. So usually this happens when you pay the money for Google AdWords for a specific sort of keyword, and people click on that keyword and they end up going to your homepage. So there's a disconnect between what they're looking for and what your homepage represents. So the way to overcome this is to think about the context that the information is being presented in. What that means is when people are looking for a certain keyword, when it might be bookkeeping, services. So depending on what they're looking for, you make sure that the web page that they land on is in the right context for what their search is about so they continue the relationship. So content first and then the context, making sure it's in the right place. So that's like lining up those candles so they lead a pathway to your door. The third thing we talk about with the new marketing is connection. Now, these days more than ever, there's so many different ways you can connect with people. There's email, there's Twitter, there's Facebook, there's LinkedIn, there's mobile devices. There's so many different ways that people can communicate. And making sure that you've got a connection between you and your prospects as well as your customers, and building that connection over time and keeping the connection flowing is quite important. And the final one of the four C's is community. And what's community about? Well, it's pretty simple. One of the things that Facebook has actually done is it's revolutionized the way that we keep up with our friends. Because now we don't need to ask friends what's been going on in their lives. We usually know just by looking at their Facebook page. So actually now more than ever, people are more interested in what's going on within their own little communities. The difference is that it's now virtual as opposed to what it used to be, which is pretty much you have to meet up with people. So creating community within your organization is a great way to get your customers and your prospects to communicate with each other, to connect, and to actually feel like they belong to something. So that community is a really important aspect of how we market and how we attract more clients. So let's talk a bit about lead nurturing, because if we start lighting these candles and we start putting interesting information forward for our clients online, and even in free reports or any sort of information, it could be articles, what we need to do is once someone engages and gets that free report, that doesn't mean we can jump down their throat and start selling them things. What we need to do is we need to nurture that person or nurture that lead or that prospect over a period of time. Now, the nurturing system is so important because if we just assume someone's either going to buy or not, or we put them on a generic newsletter, we're going to lose that context or that relationship with them. The lead nurturing is about making sure that we've got ways of accommodating that relationship as that relationship grows. So here's a couple of facts for you. If you go out and cold call and knock on doors, what we find is statistically 3% of people out there are looking for your product right now. And this is the statistics from cold calling. So we know that if we call 100 people, we're probably going to get 3 sales out of that, roughly, more or less 3%. If I'm in a room full of people and I'm announcing that I have a particular product on offer, it might be that I sell real estate. Who's in the market for real estate? Probably 3% of the room will put their hand up at that point in time. So we know that 3% are buying right now, and we use our usual process to sign up those people. The big issue is what happens with the other 97% of people that are sitting in the room. Because typically, most businesses don't have a system in place to nurture those people through the process. So let's look at the rest of the statistics here. See, there's another 7% of the people that you'll talk to on any particular day that may not be in the market buying right now, but they're open to it. Now, traditionally, these people are known as prospects. And a prospect is someone that says, look, I am interested, and let me hear what you've got to say. Now, most businesses do cater for this because they have some sort of newsletter or some sort of sales process that they can use to keep these people in the pipeline. So we're still only dealing with 10% of the people that we're going to meet, the leads, the inquiries that we're going to get. So what happens to the other 90%? Well, let's have a look at those. The next big chunk is 30%. And 30% of people that you will meet in a networking event or the people that you will meet in any sort of event are really not thinking about your product or service right now. Now, that doesn't mean they're not interested. It just means that they're not thinking about it. So here's where it's really important to have some valuable content, because what valuable content does, it opens a door. Once people start reading interesting information about either your business, or more importantly, about the services that you provide, or even more importantly than that, about the value that you can add to their lives, then it opens the door from not thinking about it to open to it to buying now. So we need to make sure that part of our content system for marketing is going to open the door for those people not thinking about it. The next 30% is even more interesting because they actually don't think they're interested at all. And this is where a corporate brochure or a product brochure is just not going to work, because they look at it and go, nah, not interested. Now, it doesn't mean that they're not going to get any benefit or value from your product. What it means is that at this point in time, they've either had a bad experience, or they've basically just bought one, or they just don't think they're interested. Now, it doesn't discard a lead, because what it means is that right at this point in time, there's a fair bit more work to do to bring this person across the line. Now, in traditional marketing methods, before we had internet and automation, this would take a lot of sales effort, which meant it was expensive. Now, the problem with having something expensive is that it's not a great investment to be doing things when we don't know what the result of doing that is going to be. So what we're really trying to do here is open a door through content creation, once again, and through context, to get these people that don't think they're interested and appeal to their needs and desires rather than just pushing product. The last 30% is really where we probably got a lot of time wasters, if you want to call them that, which is people that know they're not interested. Now, these people are great because they basically auto-eliminate. They say to us, you know what, we've looked at your product, we've tried your product, we know your company, and we know we're not interested. So if you look at these numbers, the interesting part of this is that what it tells me is that 70% of the marketplace should be in your funnel. So 70% of your target market should be somewhere in your marketing system or sales process. And the only way you can possibly do that is by having lots and lots of content and lots of different candles lit that actually guide the path to your door. Now, it is a bit of effort to do this, but it's something that pays off in droves, because when we start getting the right level of content out there for different sort of stages of interest, and we automate it, it's one of those things where we're very leveraged, because the definition of leverage is do the work once, get paid forever. So what we're really looking to do here is create a system, a systematic way of getting people who may have some interest in not only our product, but maybe just the benefits that our product can give them, and put them into some sort of marketing funnel and start to really work those people through this nurture process so that they become either more and more interested, or they just stay at a level. Now, if it's an automated system, it doesn't take a lot of effort. Once it's up and running, it's just an effort to get it started. So that's what's called the lead nurturing system. So what do we do within this lead nurturing system? Let's talk a bit about the process. So it sort of works pretty simply. The very first thing that people need to do is they need to know that you exist. Now, for people to know you exist, there's lots of different ways to do that. It's normally known as lead generation. Now, a lot of the businesses that I've worked with in the past, lead generation was about getting highly qualified leads. And the reason behind getting highly qualified leads was because we didn't want to waste the salespeople's time. Now, what's changed these days is we can create that automation once again to take a low quality lead and not waste any time on them, but put them through a process that actually helps them self-qualify. So the major objective of marketing is to get people to know about you. Now, social media is brilliant for this because we can get onto Facebook, we can get onto YouTube, we can get onto Twitter, and we can just start putting content out there so people start to hear our name. We can do email, we can do things like keynote presenting. So there's so many different ways that we can generate these leads. But the objective here is to just get the name out there so that people know about you. You can do this through strategic partners as well. So once people get to know who you are and they go and check you out on your website, the next big challenge is to get people to like you. Now, getting people to like you is it's really simple. All you need to do is add value to their lives. So if you can demonstrate a way of adding value, whether it's just information or whether it's a conversation or whether it's a workshop or whatever it might be for your business, the trick is to come up with several different ways that you can add value to someone's life and make their life easier, because then people will move very quickly from no to like. Now, the other important part about like is if people like what you do, there is a tendency to want to share it with other people. So the like stage is quite important, but it still hasn't generated any cash flow for us. So people knowing and liking us can just keep us really busy, but we really haven't got to a stage where we're doing any business yet. When we start doing business, it's usually held back by one thing, and that's called trust. Now, trust is very underrated in marketing because what's happening these days is there's nowhere to hide. The internet is very small and people can find out all about you. If you want to do something interesting, get out there and put your own name into Google and see what comes up, because there'll be positive stuff and there can even be negative stuff. So trust is one of these things that used to be, we used to get away with telling people what we wanted them to know. These days, there's no hiding from anybody. So how do we build trust with people? Well, once we know them and we like them, we use things like information to um, get people to like us. But the way we get people to trust us is by getting some transactions happening. What I mean by that is the best way to get trust with someone very quickly is to make an agreement with them and keep that agreement. Because by doing that, by making and keeping small agreements, you start building a relationship. And it might not have any financial attachment to it. So it might be that you promise to send someone an email. The key is to send that email as promised. Because every time you do just something little like that, you're going to start to build this trust relationship. And in this world of being inundated with marketing messages and getting 30,000 messages a day, people are craving connection with people they can trust because there's just so much going on. So building this trust is quite important. Now, what happens is after we go through trust, the next thing we need to do is engage. Now, a lot of businesses do this quite well, but some businesses don't have a try or a trial offer, is what I'll call it. And what I mean by that is think of how you can engage a customer or a prospect and get them to check you out. Now, it might be that it's a free consultation. It might even be that you do a very cheap initial job for someone. But the trick is to engage them in the commercial part of the business here, because they might trust you, but if there's no actual connection where they're actually transacting with you, it's really still not commercial. It's only at try that we get our first chance to prove ourselves commercially. So once people know who we are, once they start to like us and sort of think that our content is of value, the next thing that we work on is trust. And trust is about making and keeping agreements with people so that they feel like that you're someone they can do business with. Now, trust can be built by a couple of different ways, making and keeping small agreements. The other thing to do is to build a network of people who know you, who refer you. The other thing we can do here is use testimonial marketing as a way of showing some social proof that we're a trustworthy person, because people will do the research and they can find out more about you than you think they can. And so we want to make sure that everything they're finding out is congruent with your story. Once we get them to the try stage, all of a sudden we move into next gear. Now, the next gear is that when the minute someone is willing to try your service, if they come to your restaurant for the first time, if they want to give you a go at doing some sort of consulting service, one of the keys here is to make sure that we impress the pants off them. Many years ago, before I started coaching, I was working with a fellow by the name of David Shane. He ran a company called Dimension Data, still exists. But he built this company from scratch, and within 12 years from starting, he sold the business for 320 million. And when I asked him what was his secret to success, because as I started my coaching business, I was having a chat with him and I said, tell me, so I'm starting this business, what's the secret to success? He said, David, it's pretty easy. All you need to do is find one customer. And when you find that one customer, all you need to do is impress the pants off them and make sure that they're so impressed by your service, they can't help talking about you. So really, when we get that opportunity to work with someone for the first time, we need to have laser focus on making sure that we're giving them everything they need so that they give us a try. Because once they've tried us, then the cash will start to flow and they will buy from us. And once we get a client to be buying from us, then we need to move into that next gear, which is making sure they're coming back for more. Because the facts are that it costs 6 times more to get a new customer than it does to get an old customer to come back. But I meet so many people and all they're thinking about is, I need more leads, I need more leads, I need more leads. And it's not true. What they actually need to do is really focus on lifetime value of their client and making sure that the client's not only buying, but they're buying over and over again. So one of the critical numbers here in business is, what is the lifetime value of a client? How much are they going to spend with you in a lifetime? Now, there's a couple of side effects to this. See, working in this area is really just about making sure that we're providing excellent customer service, because the longer a customer stays with us and repeat buys from us, the more likely they are to tell other people the story and move into the next stage, which is about referring. Now, this is a formula that we use to build businesses, and it's a formula that we use to build marketing campaigns. And it's becoming more important now than ever to work in those bottom 3 levels, which is know, like, and trust. So really what we're talking about here, when we talk about how to attract new clients, and how to attract high quality leads is creating some fantastic content, creating a context or a process so that people can jump on board on the conveyor belt that leads towards your door and have valuable information that's feeding them and educating them as they move along the way. Because by doing this, we're going to start to get better and higher quality leads through an automated process. Now, what I would suggest you need to think about in this area is you need to think about how I can systemize this. These days, it's a lot easier than it used to be. When I started this business, CRM, customer relationship management tools, were something that people really sort of knew about, but they didn't use very effectively. This day and age, not only can you get an effective CRM for very cheap, you can actually build it up so that it allows you to track what people are doing on your website. It allows you to track the sales process. It allows you to track whether they're opening your emails or not. It allows you to coordinate so many things. But you've got to remember that one of the most valuable assets in your business is your customer base. But I would go beyond that and say that would include your prospect base as well. If you think about what prospects are, they're basically unhatched eggs. There are lots of people that know about you and they haven't bought yet. Now, the key is yet, okay? Because just because they're not ready to buy today doesn't mean they're not going to buy from you. So what are you doing to nurture those prospects? What are you doing to nurture those leads, and how can you do it in a systemized and leveraged way? So I suppose that's the key message that we've talked about today. And I'm going to open up to any questions, but the best way to handle questions on the webinar is to go through the chat session or through the questions area. So if anyone's got any questions or any comments they'd like to make, just feel free to post them there and we'll go through them as we're going through the call. Now, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about how we sort of build these relationships, because how do people get to know us? See, one of the key things here is that there's so many different ways, like social media, and there's other more powerful ways. Remember when I talked about the 4 C's, we talked about community? See, one of the things that we're doing here, and it's so important to our business, is to build a network. And networking is going to be one of the ways that people will do business in the future. There's no question. And if you're not understanding the sort of the theory of network science, you're going to miss out on where the next wave of marketing is going. Because the more inundated we get with these messages, as you can imagine, we're at 30,000 messages a day now. And what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to get even noisier. And so people are going to start turning to the people they know, the people they like, the people they trust, and they're going to start asking, can you help me find an accountant? Can you help me find someone who can mow my lawn? Do you have someone who does this? So this word of mouth marketing is going to become stronger than ever. And it's only because with so many marketing messages, how can I tell who's doing a good job? So one of the things we've really got to be looking out for here is how do we build the network and how do we maintain contact with that network? So the know, like, trust process within creating this funnel doesn't only apply to customers, it also applies to network partners. So start thinking. I mean, I'm going to give you some homework out of today's session. The very first thing I want you to start thinking about is who else services your target market. Now, what I mean by that is if I looked at your client's checkbook or if I looked at their bank statement, who are they writing the checks to? Who are they paying on a monthly basis? Because whoever else is servicing that market is also a potential partner that you can work with as well. Now, rather than just chasing clients directly, how about you start communicating with those people and building a network? Because if you've got people that you're doing business with that could go to them and vice versa, you've now got the opportunity to create some great connections. And with those great connections, people will get to know you. Now, doing that and just going straight for a sale is not going to build any trust. So this whole know, like, trust process that we've talked about is about making sure that you have got those funnels or those valuable pieces of content that you can actually use as part of getting people in the door or getting people to know a bit about you. So really what you need to do is not only start identifying the list of partners that you can work with, you need to start defining what the content is that I can create, that I can give away. And it doesn't need to be the intellectual property of your business. It needs to be something that is of value to your prospect. It needs to be information that helps them. It can be things like tip sheets. It can be things like white papers. It can be things like articles that show them what's going on in the market. It could be market trends. Any information that you can provide to a prospect that makes their life easier and educates them of the benefit of your product without selling your product, that's the way to do it. Because one of the things about using social media is people who teach social media marketing will tell you don't sell directly online. because selling directly online is only going to cause people to defriend you. So what you've got to do is you've actually got to add value to their lives, and that's why people are starting to move towards, the 10 biggest tips to have a successful wedding, the 10 best ways to improve your performance when you're running. Those sorts of tip sheets are very valuable as far as lighting those candles, leading a pathway to your door. So it's a very simple message. It's a very important message. What I will tell you is there's two types of change in the world. There's structural change and there's cyclic change. Now, what's going on with the economy right now? Cyclic. We have slow economic times. We have fast economic times. What's happening with the share market is cyclic. What's happening with the property market is cyclic. What's happened with the introduction of the internet and the introduction of how people communicate is structural, and it's not going away. It's changing the face of retail. It's changing the face of every business on the planet. So the people who are in the know, the people who understand what's happening and they're embracing the technology are the people that are going to be ahead. So if you're thinking about how to attract more valuable prospects or more valuable leads to your business, the answer is pretty simple. Make your business attractive. I had a friend one time, and I remember this story well, and he said, David, I just can't find the right girl. And, being a coach, I said to him, look, the first thing you need to do is define what you're looking for. So you need to put it in writing. And so he went away and he came back with this list of all of the perfect attributes of the perfect girl for him. And he goes, there you go, David, I've got it. And what's next? And I said, great. So now you know what you're looking for. At least you can identify it out in the marketplace. And my next question was very interesting. So I said, so if this girl's walking down the street tomorrow and she sees you, would she be attracted to you? Because one of the things that's true about life and that's true about business is that we can't control what goes on outside, but what we can control is what goes on inside our business and inside our head. And the message there for him was, now that you've defined what you're looking for, you need to make sure that you are the sort of person that she's looking for as well. And that's going to be the same with your business. So define who your ideal client is, then start building a business that ideal client could never say no to. And create that by creating lots of valuable content, lots of valuable information, systemize an approach so people can get educated before they buy, and then put it into an automated system, and then watch those leads flow as they come to your front door. So any questions coming up? No questions right at this point. Great, I must have answered it all. So what I'd like to do, because we're sort of getting towards the end of this call, I am trying to keep these calls short and sharp because I know some people are on lunch, some people are driving in their car. I just want to explain to you, look, one of the things that we've got on offer at the moment is we've got a workshop coming up in about 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks time. It's on 16th of October. It's a half-day workshop. It's called How to Build a Referral-Based Business. Now, what we do in that workshop is we take exactly what I've spoken about today and we drill down into every section. We have practical tools, we have proven strategies, we talk about case studies. Because here's what I believe, any business owner should be aiming for the ultimate goal of having a 100% referral-based business. Because if you're good at what you do and you're good at the building of your content, what should happen is the business should market itself. Because that's the way of the future. So if you're interested in attending this workshop, you just need to go to referral.eventbrite.com.au. I'll also send you a link after this webinar if anyone is interested in coming to that. That's in a couple of weeks' time. I want to thank you very much for your time today. Some happy marketing times for you. Good luck with the future. And if there's anything that you need, please email us or contact our office here. I wanted to thank you for your time today, guys. Any leaving questions before we end up? Excellent. All right, guys. Well, look, have a great week. Hopefully we'll see you at the next webinar. We're going to keep them short and sharp. We're going to make sure that we just provide valuable content, and have a great day. Take care.